Hello, everybody. This is Jesse Lawrence. And what I'd like to talk about today is how to change your self-image and thereby change your self-confidence, increase your self-confidence. What I see a lot of on the internet and on YouTube and stuff like that are NLP techniques. Okay? And all I can tell you is, for me, that's never worked. Ever. It might work for you, but it's never worked for me. So I've come out with, or learned rather, a better system and a more reliable system to gain confidence. It's very hard, but it's very simple. Before I go any further, I just want to read you something. Excuse me. And this is from a book by Barbara Markway. And it's called The Self-Confidence Workbook, a guide to overcoming self-doubt and improve self-esteem. And in the book, I'm going to give you a little quote. And it says this: "You can tell yourself there's nothing to be afraid of, but words aren't enough. Anyone who's ever tried to tell a frightened 3-year-old that there are no monsters in the closet knows the futility of mere words. You have to show," and I underline the word show, you have to show the child it's safe by shining a flashlight in the closet, poking all around, encouraging the child to look in, and so on. For beliefs to fully change, they must be disproved on a very basic gut level. Let me repeat that. For beliefs to fully change, they must be disproved on a very basic gut level. Okay, so what I do know is that there are two parts of the brain, in a sense. The emotional part of the brain and the logic side of the brain. And the logic side of the brain has very little effect on the emotional side, which means if you need to change your self-image and you need to gain more confidence, you have to do it through behavior, a change in behavior. And when you change your behavior, you change your brain and you change your life. Okay, so let me give you a little example, because this is a classic example of what I'm talking about. Up until recently, my head had not slept on a different pillow for a long time. For reasons I'm not going to go into now. But I basically didn't go on holiday or vacation for a long time, and I'd lost a lot of self-confidence. My self-image was poor, and I wanted to go to Paris. And the idea of going for a week or whatever the case may be was overwhelming. Leaving the house was overwhelming. So I decided to do things in steps. And that's the secret. Okay? People think in very black and white terms. It's either all or it's nothing. I'm either a failure or I'm a success. It doesn't work that way. Every little step is a success. So I decided to go away to Torquay for one overnight stay. And I went to Torquay. I did my photography and so forth. And on the way home, on the coach, I had this emotional feeling of confidence that I hadn't had in a long time. And my self-image changed slightly to one of someone who is more self-reliant I knew that I could survive being away from home. I knew that I could survive being on my own because my confidence was shot to pieces. And it was an emotional feeling that I couldn't get through years and years and years of ruminating and trying to figure out how to be confident. Because the logical, analysing, information-seeking brain does not change the emotional brain. To change the emotional brain, how you see yourself, how you feel about yourself, comes through action. Being a scientist and disproving what it is you believe about yourself. So it's all action-based. People say, oh, okay, we'll visualize this now and then visualize that and swish it over. And that may work. I really don't know. I can't speak for other people. But all I know is it doesn't work for me. And what does work is taking action. And here's the kicker, which I've already mentioned just now. And that's to do things in steps. The way out of the wilderness, the way out of the woods, the way out of the fog is to do things in steps. Right? It's like, for example, if you take somebody in life that wants to do something, I don't know, it could be anything. It could be opening a business. It could be learning a craft, learning a hobby, anything, right? This is what a successful person will do, and this is what an unsuccessful person will do. A successful person will realize their limitations. A successful person will realize that they can't do everything at once, that they can't achieve everything at once, and small mini bites, small steps is the way out of the wilderness and a way to achieve your goal. You can't jump from the bottom step to the top step. It's impossible. But people beat themselves up. I can't jump right up. Well, a successful person will take one step, will congratulate themselves on the step. It's an achievement. Go to the next step. That's an achievement. Every step you take is an achievement. So I would argue that an unsuccessful person, as I've already mentioned, will think black or white, all or nothing, very rigid. I'm either a success or I'm a failure. There's no in between. When actually one big success is actually a series of small successes. If I was a boxing trainer and you were my fighter, and I signed you up to become a professional, once you signed that contract to become a professional, an idiot will think, right, well, now I'm going to fight for the title. It's not going to happen. First, you're never going to get the chance. And second, you'll get cream crackered if such a thing did happen because you haven't got any experience behind you. What you do is you fight a tomato can. Beat him, fight another tomato can, beat him, fight another tomato can, beat him, fight the sweeper-upper, fight the cab driver, fight the mailman, and work up. And every opponent you get will be slightly better than the last one to bring you along very nicely to the championship. But every fight you have is a success. Because without that success, you can't have the next success, if you understand what I mean. So the way to think about it is to think in steps, in mini bites, in mini chunks, and move towards your fear gradually in chunks without doing any safety behaviors, without taking anything with you to try and make yourself feel better is to handle the discomfort as it comes. Do everything in steps. And when that happens, you actually change your self-image. I spent years, decades listening to hypnosis tapes, trying NLP. I did all the tapping nonsense and all the rest of it, and none of it, for me personally, worked. Nothing. What does work is facing what you fear and facing it in chunks. Think of it this way, another way, right? You go into the swimming pool, okay, or want to go into the swimming pool, but it's freezing cold. You don't just dive in. That will be too overwhelming for you. You put your foot in. You let your foot climatize. Then you go down to your knee. You get used to that. Then you go down to your waist. Get used to that. Then go down to your chest. And you get used to that until it doesn't become a big deal anymore, And then you go into the pool. So you do everything in chunks. And growing up, and a lot of this was programmed by the idiots that I grew up with, people think in black and white terms. A successful person understands his limitations. One of my favorite authors, a guy called Stephen Donaldson, who was a karate guy, and he taught. He's a sensei, and he I don't know if he still does it, but he was teaching stuff, karate, Shotokan karate, and he realized that some of his students were bigger than him, taller than him, stronger than him, faster than him, etc., etc. But he worked on his technique and timing, and he used to floor them every time fighting, because he understood his limitations. And he worked around his limitations. And so this is what you need to do. You need to understand your limitations, like somebody who would be successful would. And you think, well, I can't jump from A to Z straight away and then beat myself up and call myself a loser. The way to win is to do it in steps. And when you do that, your self-image will fucking change. And you'll get an emotional feeling of confidence that you couldn't get for decades by whinging, whining, complaining, and ruminating about it. Anyway, I hope this video has given you something to think about. God bless you all, and thank you very much for listening, and take care. Bye for now.